It's been a pleasure to be part of this day, and I'm so glad that I felt bold enough to do this. I was not familiar with Jacqueline Poncelet's work, thank you, but one of my friends, Carol Newmarch, was, and she's the ceramicist, so I'm the weaver, but Carol Newmarch, ceramicist, and Claire Baker, whose work you can see downstairs, her work on Ukraine. We went to this exhibition separately, and also I went with my husband, who's also here. So I went 3 times with different people. So this is about, basically, it's in 3 parts, that the sort of questions that you have before you go to an exhibition, when you're there, and then when you're away from it. And I wanted to sort of get my perspective out first, so it's my approach and theoretical position. Who do I think I am when I go to an exhibition? How much do I know about the artist? What's the interest? And then why do you go to a gallery at all? And what are the influences at an exhibition? And I think at this one, I don't want to go to my 4th point too early, but it's the place. The actual gallery itself is really critical. And Ashley's moving us around really emphasised that. But anyway. And then a sort of leap to what this exhibition has done and prompted me in reflection. So that is a picture of the iris in our garden, which attempts to draw up all the water that gushes out of a gutter, and it's a rhizome. And so that's the picture. I'm presenting this as the researcher, as subject. So this is my take on what I'm presenting, and that's Ellis and Brockner's work. There's been lots of metaphors talked about this last section, all the interlacing of weaving, the chocolate. You get a lot of architectural metaphors. And I've always liked Lakoff and Johnson's work, Metaphors We Live By, a very, very critical piece of work about how our language embeds these metaphors. And one that's important to me, and one that I feel is both personally and shared by others, is Deleuze and Guattari's rhizome as a metaphor. That a rhizome, for people who don't know, is a tuber, and it will grow in any direction, upwards, outwards, sideways and down. And if it's cut and replanted, then it will keep growing in a different setting. So for me, it's apposite to myself, but it's also when I was looking with others at Jacqueline Poncelet's work, that has this sort of connect and disconnect all the way through, and there's a lot of energy when 2 things come together. So the last part is Falk's work about identity. Who do we identify with when we go as a visitor to a gallery? So who do I think I am? This is a photograph of me twice. Once in the 1980s when I was weaving. I worked with a Scottish weaver called Maggie Riegler, and I also worked at where they lived at Death Station Pottery. I was a sort of, ceramics is such hard work, all the clay, all the chopping, all the whatever you do. I just remember it being very hard work. But it was the textiles that I was interested in, and working with Maggie Riegler was a joy. And this piece I took up again. This particular piece of work is a piece of card weaving that I did, which is strips that you sew together. And I took up weaving after a long time. I needed to earn a living at one point in my life, and I stopped weaving, and it really was quite emotionally, it was very hard for me to ever think that I would go back to it. But I did, and it was partly one of those strange outcomes from the pandemic where you're making shifts in what you're thinking. With Jacqueline Poncelet, one of the things that's not come up in the day that I feel is quite, for me, was quite significant was that she was born in Belgium and she moved to the UK when she was 4. Now, I have resonance with Belgium. I have 27 years of visiting Belgium. And I want to give you an example of my take on Belgium and Brussels in particular. And one day when I was there, I visited 2 galleries. I don't know if, is anybody familiar with Brussels? A bit. Well, there's a place where you can buy a ticket for 4 galleries. And I knew what I wanted to see in each, but I went to the Royal Museum, so you're seeing the Fall of Icarus and Cranach's work and Bosch. And then I went to Magritte's, which is next door, 4 stories high of Magritte's work. And the word I would use, and it's the word that I thought of with Jacqueline Poncelet's work, is that you're slightly wrong-footed. I came out of the Magritte's, it's a massive gallery, and I thought both a quite surreal sort of feeling inside that I had experienced on that day. And it's not come up at all, and I don't know the history of her connection with Belgium. But to me, there are aspects. You very rarely see 2 houses the same next door to each other in Belgium. There is quite a distinct architectural style that juxtaposes many different things. And that for me has resonance with this work. Hang on. So why did we visit in the making? I firstly went to the exhibition with Claire, who is textile designer and embroiderer. And so it was about the pattern, surface design. And I think that it was funny being with her in the exhibition influenced almost what we looked at and what we commented on. And so I did follow some of this up with I did ask Claire and Carol questions, so I'm drawing on that as well, but I'm also trying to think about the visit that we made. Claire liked the form and the wire and the juxtaposition of the strangeness of it. And again, I would use wrong-footed. And even the carpet, it's not even flat, is it? It's got a lump in it. And so the whole sort of, the way that I went through the exhibition with Claire and the conversations that we were having. And then I went with Carol to the exhibition, who is a ceramicist, who was able to give a lot of technical information about the ceramics and how things were made. And so it sort of influenced me. And thirdly, when I was gathering my photographs for today, I went with my husband, who we have done work together over the years. And we weren't going round together. And so I asked Graham, I said, what did you think? And he said, it's one of the best I've seen in MIMA. So it was very accessible, very readable. And what I would say about MIMA is it's such a resource in this area that we are able to come and see somebody's work that has never been put together like this before, all the effort and the energy that has gone into today and the exhibition. So it's sort of, I would say, using we came to it because we were interested, we had an affinity, we were all practitioners in different ways. I have to say we all rejected the single identity that I had in the title of this paper, But we still were able to come to MIMA to look at something like this. We didn't have to go to Newcastle or to Manchester or to London. So why did we come? We came because we were interested, and we all felt we had some degree of affinity with it, because we all worked in different ways through different media. This, of all the pieces that we looked at, and being with Carol was very interesting in the recognition of the porcelain in the first tower part and looking at those forms. Claire liked the forms and the juxtaposition of different materials, but this was the piece that we all enjoyed. We all could see something. And part of the curation of this exhibition leads you to this literal body of work, I think. And it had everything. I don't think you disagree, Carol. Yeah, as we came to it. And not by coincidence, but we all could see the texture, the colour, the skill, the kind of not quite knowing what it is, who it is, what, is it a person? Is it a dancer? It has so many qualities that I think makes the whole... It has great resonance with a lot of people because it's so tangible. You can see the chintz, and there's chintz in the carpet, there's chintz on the wall. It had a lot to offer, and I felt that it embodied what I got from the exhibition, and Carol and Claire shared that. On reflection, I think one of the points that came up was how we felt that you carry memories of work that are quite deep in your mind, so that it isn't just familiar work that you're thinking of, but somehow work can resurface. And I felt that because I'm textile. I mean, somebody even spotted me as a weaver. Sarah asked me what I did, and I said I was a weaver, and she said, "Oh, I knew you were a weaver," and she never clapped eyes on me. I find that so strange, Sarah. But for me, I was looking at it through. I didn't want to select too many images at this stage of the day, but these two aspects for me were so resonant of how something can travel through time. And similarly, my first slide is about time, it is about that transition. And so in being able to reflect on the impact that this exhibition has been very profound, I think, and it made me look at a future piece of work, not just looking back, but looking at what's on the horizon. And that was this, and I know we're going to make a bit of a leap here, but in Middlesbrough, for those of you who are not from Middlesbrough, there were two large gas holders on the corner of the A66 in a place called Cannon Park. And I'd moved here in the 70s and was working. And I was a tapestry weaver at that time using different techniques. And I wove two tiny little gas holders. And I don't know if I was interested in I am interested in industrial archaeology, so that they were part of the landscape, but not in the same way as some, not even like Klaus Oldenburg's bottle of notes. These are something that are tangible objects that you're driving past every day. These are important innovations in technology. They're huge, great big things. And if we go forward to 2019, I picked up this work again because Graham and I were, through various means, had an opportunity to work with Middlesbrough's twin town, which is Oberhausen. And Oberhausen has had two of the largest gas holders in Europe. They now have one. The other one was demolished, and it is now an art gallery in Oberhausen. So we, with Claire Baker, another person called Nicola Golightly, and another artist called Louise Pallister, we were going to Oberhausen with our work. And my connection, the middle piece there, the gas holder, the rust belt, it's a reference from the Economist about the state of the north-south divide, was that the gas holders were no longer in use and they're just deteriorating, they're just becoming rust. So I returned to the work by thinking that gas is made from coal comes from carbon, i.e. vegetable rotting materials. And so my work for this particular exhibition was about natural dyed papers, which I then constructed in sort of triangular shapes as per the gas holders. We had a phone call in 2020, just before we were about to go to Oberhausen. I don't know if you remember March 2020. We were literally, honestly, all the work was packed. We were ready to go. We didn't want to cancel it, but Germany shut down, so we couldn't go. Literally, if that was the Friday, we were going on the Monday. So all the work stayed in our attic. And then pandemic and all the things and all the changes that took place during that time, for some reason, somebody said, I've got a loom, would you like it? And this time I said yes. So I, like Jacqueline Poncelet, started weaving again in a different way in 2020. And I'm currently working on the piece that's on the right, which I called Gone, because during those 2 years, between 2018 and 2020, the gas holders were demolished, and there is now a car park and Nissan huts, or porta cabins. And so this piece is like from left to right, is like the diminishing colours of this thing that was in one sense it's an innovation. I just want to look at the time. An innovation, but equally very polluting, etc. So things change. So this work today and going to the exhibition has made me think who I am in relation to this exhibition, that I have a degree of affinity to it, and how the exhibition has made connections, and that is echoed in today, that all the things that different people have come to listen to the curators speak, and academic and friends, and it's been a pleasure to be part of it. It really has. It really has. And for me, I think it was very generous of Carol and Claire to respond to my questions, but I do think that I've been able to understand this exhibition by asking questions. Who, why, how, all those sort of things that make something come together. And what I did do, because it's called In the Making, I wanted to make something. And so I made little tags for the participants of today. And on the back of it, it has Claire's email, website, Carol's contact, and my own. And thank you very much for listening. Thank you. So do pass these round. No, they are from my stash. The little emblem on it is our stamp, Graham and myself. It's Los Caballos del Rio, which are 2 hippopotami. Thank you. So